1.1% vacancy rate is unbelievably tight, and it will tighten more. It's in balance at 3%, so you don't have to be too bright to work out that we will see those rates rise. Now, for those of you that have been out in the marketplace, looking around and finding it difficulty working out how to sell and what decisions to make during the spring season, today we've got our Hooten studio manager with us in the studio. On the other side of the camera, welcome Leanne Kuss. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Now, Leanne, just tell me about you and your background and what you do.
Absolutely. It's kind of weird being on this side of the camera, I must say, but I had a background, I worked in Sydney for quite a few years. I was working in a systems IT capacity, working for some advertising agencies up there, basically designing their workflow software and all of their trafficking systems all across Asia and Australia. So that was pretty exciting. I got to travel a lot, drink lots of wine overseas, all good fun.
Good on you.
Then I moved to Melbourne. One of my clients offered me a job in Melbourne, and we ended up setting up some IPOs. Jeff Kennett was on our board, who was...
Oh, that would have been interesting.
It was amazing.
There's some stories there.
Absolutely. He's a really good guy. So yeah, that was in the internet boom. So we had set up lots of internet companies where we were designing lots of things, lots of marketing combined with IT. So a really heavy background in that. Then I moved back to Adelaide for family reasons and got a job with TOOP+TOOP as your PA, I believe, back in the early days.
You don't believe it, you know it.
That was my training ground, I think, for TOOP+TOOP.
Leanne, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you over these number of years. You went in and saw the inside workings of the business after being my assistant.
That's right.
And now you're managing our Hooten
Yes.
advertising studio.
Yes.
And that's the area I'd like to just drill down and focus on a little bit at the moment. Leanne, you went into that position about 6 or 8 months ago.
Yep.
And you've done an enormous amount to make life easier for the customer. So can you just explain to me what Hooten is and how it can help the customer, the client?
Hooten is, it's basically where design meets IT. So I think in the world of the consumer, we're getting to a point where design, all your beautiful graphics and all the promotion we do of all your properties meets your IT infrastructure. So all the nuts and bolts behind it. Hooten's a group of about 10 or 12 based here at Norwood, and we bring all of that together. So back in the old days, you'd have an IT house, all the geeks would sit in the back room.
Exactly.
Punch away. You'd have your creative guys out the front who are...
all fairyland.
Yes, dancing, singing, and came up with all the ideas. And then you'd pay the project managers to bring those two together because they didn't talk the same language. These days, that design and IT has come together. The technologies that are available at the moment are bringing those together, and it's a base for doing everything really quickly and easily for the consumer. So my main role here is to make it easier for you guys to sell houses and make it easier for the consumers to get some choices, to look at what's available, how we actually sell their houses, what makes us any different to the agent down the road, and what can we do better for them.
Leanne, one of the big areas that you've helped me with, in particular since you've arrived, is that we are developing programs that are much, much cheaper to run for selling homes. Maybe can you just run us through that?
Yeah, absolutely. In this market, when properties are on the market, if they're priced correctly or even if they're not priced correctly, you need to be able to get a whole lot of people into that marketing environment really quickly. You need to be able to do it cheaply for the consumer, and you need to be able to get the property sold really quickly. You know, once you start stretching out, it's when you're basically burning dollars for the client as well. So we need to do that cheaply and quickly. iPads are now around, and in fact today is the launch of the new iPhone 4S, I think.
4S,
that's right. Yeah,
we're
all waiting for 5.
I've been hanging out waiting to see this. Yeah.
Absolutely. So iPads and iPhones are an integral part of what we do. We're piloting some software at the moment, actually, which we're using on here to be able to show the consumers what we do. They can choose their own media mix. In this market, you need to be able to run with whatever media works at that particular time. And if we need to change it quickly, we need to do that inexpensively. So this technology allows us to do that.
Leanne, I've been in the business for 1,000,000 years, and you can see that on my eyes. And what's different now, though, is you're putting a lot more science into it. So you're getting facts, stats, figures. I noticed you've been compiling all of the hit rates on clients' houses, where they're coming in from, whether it's social media or whether it's off our website, realestate.com, whomever, all the different websites, you're compiling all of that and you're starting to steer the salespeople where the action is.
Exactly.
Just talk to me about, how much work that, I know it's a lot of work, but how's that going?
It is a lot of work, and it's about being a little bit clever. I mean, there are lots of stats available to the consumer these days, so there's no hiding behind it anymore. Back in the old days, we used to have, the stats were all in-house and it was no sharing. So we have to be a bit more clever and basically use it for the consumer. Like, where's the marketing this week? Because it changes. 1 minute it might be realestate.com, the next minute it might be the new product that's coming out. We have to be able to read the stats, pick the trends on those, and then forecast that and change our marketing strategies really quickly.
Just very quickly, I just wanted to have a look at our new website homepage, and just can we get that up on the screen maybe? And this is one of your changes that you and your team have made, where we've actually got our Twitter incorporated with a state of the market report.
Absolutely.
Incorporated with our magazine.
Yes.
So soft copy of the magazine, incorporated with one-click click-throughs. How you found it? You've done this. What do you think?
We're really proud, I've got to say. It sounds a little bit humble, but really proud of the new website. It's still showcasing properties the same way as it always did, and I guess that's the power of what Hooten TOOP do, is we bring that property in, we make it look more beautiful than it is, and we allow people to get to that information really quickly. So the new website is really classy and sophisticated. It gives you a really lovely feel when you're looking through property, but then you get to the guts of it, if you like, and that's when you get to the nuts and bolts. That's where the system and the infrastructure comes in, and that's what I mean about that design and IT convergence. It's nice to look pretty, but it's actually got to do something.
Leanne, we'll come back with some more questions in a minute, so thank you for that. But in the meantime, let's go and have a look at some of the results we've been getting with all of this new stuff. So let's go to Going, Going, Gone.